If you haven't hit subscribe to WWE Express yet, this is the moment to join us. We break down the major developments, we analyze the narrative implications, we explore the character psychology behind the decisions that shape WWE's biggest events. Subscribe to WWE Express right now so you're never left wondering what these huge announcements actually mean for the future of professional wrestling's biggest stage. WrestleMania 42 just got infinitely more complex. 3 major developments just dropped, and on the surface they might seem like separate stories. But when you dig deeper, when you understand the implications, you realize these aren't random pieces. These are interconnected narrative threads that are weaving together to create something massive. The Rock is confirmed. Randy Orton is positioned behind Roman Reigns. And Cameron is threatening USO. This is the architecture of WrestleMania 42 coming into focus. Let's start with the most seismic announcement. The Rock is confirmed for WrestleMania 42. Now, The Rock appearing at WrestleMania isn't just a casual television appearance. The Rock is a once-in-a-generation performer whose presence alone elevates whatever event he's part of. When The Rock walks into an arena, the entire dynamic shifts. The energy changes. The stakes feel different. The WWE Universe understands that when The Rock is involved, something significant is about to unfold. But here's where the storytelling gets really interesting. The Rock's confirmation at WrestleMania 42 isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening in a specific context. It's happening in an environment where Roman Reigns is a central figure. It's happening in a timeline where the Bloodline faction has been a dominant force shaping WWE's narrative landscape. And suddenly, The Rock being at WrestleMania takes on additional layers of meaning because of who he's connected to, and more importantly, who might be standing opposite him. The implications of The Rock's presence immediately raise questions about alignment. Is The Rock there to support someone? Is he there to confront someone? Is he there to be involved in a major match? The fact that Randy Orton is positioned behind Roman Reigns suggests that WWE is building something substantial. And The Rock's confirmed appearance might be directly connected to that very storyline. This brings us to the second major development. Randy Orton is positioned behind Roman Reigns. Now, this is a profound narrative choice. Randy Orton is the Viper. He's the legend killer. He's someone who has proven throughout his entire career that he operates on his own terms. The idea of Randy Orton being positioned specifically behind Roman Reigns speaks to something significant happening within the Bloodline faction or in the immediate orbit around Roman Reigns. What does it mean when a performer of Randy Orton's caliber is positioned behind someone? It can mean several things. It can mean alliance. It can mean that Randy Orton has found a reason to stand with Roman Reigns. It can mean that the common enemy or the common goal is significant enough to unite 2 of WWE's most prestigious performers. It can mean that the narrative is moving in a direction where consolidation of power, consolidation of authority, is becoming necessary. The storytelling opportunity here is absolutely massive. You're talking about 2 performers whose respect within the locker room is beyond question. Roman Reigns and Randy Orton standing together, moving together, operating from the same page. That's the kind of alliance that would carry weight in the WWE Universe. It's not about raw power alone. It's about legitimacy. It's about 2 men who have proven themselves at the absolute highest level deciding that their interests are aligned. The narrative foundation for this alliance could be rooted in multiple places. Perhaps Roman Reigns and Randy Orton have identified a threat that requires both of their attention. Perhaps they've recognized that standing together is more beneficial than standing apart. Perhaps they've come to an understanding about the hierarchy of WWE, about who truly belongs in the conversation when discussing the most dominant forces in professional wrestling. Whatever the reason, the positioning of Randy Orton behind Roman Reigns creates a dynamic that WrestleMania needs to address. And then we have the third element: Cameron threatening USO. Now this is where the narrative becomes even more intricate because USO is intrinsically connected to Roman Reigns through the Bloodline faction. USO is someone whose loyalty to the Bloodline, whose connection to Roman Reigns, has defined his entire character arc. So when Cameron is threatening USO, he's not just creating conflict with an individual performer. He's creating conflict with someone who is tethered to the larger Bloodline narrative. What does Cameron's threat represent? It could represent a challenge to the Bloodline's dominance. It could represent someone stepping forward and saying that the Bloodline's reign, the Bloodline's control, is about to be challenged. It could represent an external force deciding to specifically target the weaker link in the Bloodline chain, using that to leverage pressure against Roman Reigns and the larger faction. The beauty of this threat, the reason it works so well narratively, is that it creates multiple layers of conflict. You have the direct conflict between Cameron and USO, but you also have the implicit conflict between Cameron and anyone who stands with the Bloodline, which now includes Randy Orton. You have the larger question of whether Cameron's threat is part of a larger plan to destabilize the Bloodline, to test its unity, to see if the bonds holding it together are as strong as they appear. When you step back and look at these three developments together, what emerges is a WrestleMania 42 card that's built around power, hierarchy, and the testing of alliances. The Rock's presence creates intrigue about what role he'll play in this larger narrative. Randy Orton positioning himself behind Roman Reigns creates a power consolidation that suggests preparation for a significant challenge. And Cameron's threat to USO represents the challenge, that external force that's willing to attack the bloodline directly. The narrative sophistication here is remarkable. WWE isn't just throwing together random matches and storylines. WWE is constructing an interconnected web where each element matters, where each development informs the others, where the entire card feels like it's building towards something cohesive and significant. The question that the WWE Universe should be asking is simple but profound. What is Cameron's actual objective? Is Cameron representing a larger faction? Is Cameron representing the interests of The Rock? Is the threat to USO actually a probe into the bloodline's weaknesses, a way of testing whether the addition of Randy Orton has truly solidified Roman Reigns' position or whether there are fractures that can be exploited? These are the kinds of questions that make WrestleMania season so compelling. These are the narrative threads that keep the WWE Universe invested and engaged. You're not just waiting for individual matches to happen. You're waiting to see how all these different storylines collide, intersect, and resolve. The fact that Randy Orton is now positioned behind Roman Reigns creates a different kind of threat than Cameron attacking USO would face if JEY were standing alone. Now JEY has backup. Now Cameron is creating a problem not just for one bloodline member, but for two of WWE's most elite performers. That's the kind of escalation that makes WrestleMania feel truly grand. If you appreciate this kind of narrative complexity, if you understand that professional wrestling at its best is about interconnected storylines and character development, if you see WrestleMania not as a collection of individual matches but as a culmination of narrative threads coming together, then you absolutely need to be subscribed to WWE Express. We analyze the big picture. We connect the dots. We understand how WWE's storytelling works at the highest levels, where every development matters and every announcement carries weight. Subscribe to WWE Express right now and become part of a community that celebrates professional wrestling as a sophisticated art form where narrative complexity, character psychology, and strategic storytelling come together to create the greatest wrestling entertainment in the world. Subscribe to WWE Express today.